the Managing Director of Sorrento Strategic Accounting, Kylie Thompson. Remember last time I was on the stage, Kylie, and remember that you weren't on the stage and you didn't stop you from... I gotcha. Anyway, it's a private story. And the illustrious co-founders of Ocean Floor Music, Sam Cutri and Clint Arthur. So, firstly to you fellas, it's been a long road. COVID hasn't helped. Been talking about having an industry info night for quite a while, and frankly, what you're doing isn't, it's building something really quite substantive, and it's not going to happen overnight, like shampoo, but it will happen. Any opening remarks to the ladies and gentlemen and everybody?
Testing 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me out there? Check. The last time I said that, I had a guitar in front of me. Wow, how things change. Thank you, everybody, for being here. This has just been amazing to see so many beautiful faces and people who want to hear about what we're doing. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Sophie, Kylie. Thank you, Clint, and everybody else that was up here and all of our team. But yes, we are on the bleeding edge, as I'd like to say. Not even the cutting edge. We are brand new. We're so new. We're doing something that everybody is learning a little tiny bit about every so often. And I guess Ocean Floor Music is here to help the educational process. I think that's our primary role, to really help musicians learn how and why you would use an NFT, the strategies that you might use around an NFT, how you can monetize your music, how you can own your music, how you can share your music with your community, how you can create a community that not only rewards the artist, but also is rewarded for rewarding the artist. And this is something that we really need to think about, So when we're talking about your community that buys your NFTs, well, that community also gets rewarded for buying those NFTs. I know it doesn't quite make sense, but it happens, where people who are part of our community at Ocean Floor Music are rewarded for being part of our community. We're rewarded by making decisions on where Ocean Floor Music goes in an ecosystem, rewarded financially for contributing to those decision-making opportunities, rewarded for supporting the artists that are on our platform, and rewarded by knowing that we are growing together and our community is growing together and we are empowering each other to be better people and make better music and make better art. And honestly, that's why we are here. As a musician of 35 years, I know the struggles, and I've been through those struggles, and I'm still here. It's like I'm still here, what? But I'm managing, and we're doing something very special and very important, so...
And Clint has tasted the musical life and all its challenges as well.
He has indeed.
Yeah, my music journey was a little bit shorter than Sam's. It was about 6 to 7 years of gigging in the East Coast. Don't hold that against me. I lived in Melbourne, had a cover band, an original band, wrote an album, managed bands, and I think we drank about 80% of our profit, and the last 20% went on the original recording. But coming back into the music industry, identifying that artists still earn 13% of revenue globally is not okay, and it's coming back after so many years and seeing that artists are still paid at the end of the cycle, the commoditization's been the same. It's just like, let's just do something different. We need to challenge this. We need to change the process. Highly and simply, let's just think about how do we put more money from fans' pockets into artists' pockets to help them to create. That's it, right? That's all you need to take away from tonight. That's what we're trying to do. You think about Kickstarter, Patreon, those type of crowdfunding platforms. We're leveraging the technology to amplify that. We're here to help. And we know it seems a bit complicated with some of the terminology that comes through. Don't try and understand it all. Just come on the journey with us. That's what we're here for. I'm really grateful for the opening from Josh this evening, and the main message I heard was love, right? It was love. Did you hear that? Did anyone hear love? Hands up if you heard love. Come on, hands up if you heard love. We can feel the love. Music helps us to connect, right? Feeling the love is important. It's everything that we're about, and music connects us all. And our goal is to make sure that artists feel valued into the future. And not for you to understand everything right now, or the industry to understand everything, but to understand that we're trying to help. We're here to help. And there's a technology that isn't something that's just come up in a WA bubble or an ideation session.
Although there have been those.
There have been. And look, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I was sitting in Palm Beach in Florida at a blockchain conference, it was amazing, whatever. Third biggest blockchain conference in the world. And when I landed into this conference, there was a cryptocurrency crash, and they opened this conference with 5,000 people sitting there, and was like, what's the stigma in the room? How are they going to address this? And they're like, well, that's part of the nature of the business. But the mainstream media wrap up cryptocurrency, the technology solution, and this new thing of the world coming together and working together collectively to solve problems into one thing. And they're like, I'm looking around the room, and there's like 5,000 people that are founders, developers, venture capitalists going, we're here to change the world for the better. We're here to connect the world globally, regardless of borders, regardless of religions, regardless of geography, regardless of sexual preference. We're here to help connect. And there's love that lies under this technology solution. So there's my opening remark. Thank you.
Hallelujah. Do you want
Am I allowed to share why I became involved?
Yes, please.
'Cause they've got me.
Kylie Thompson.
Okay, I just wanted to share that Sam and Clint came to my office and said they had this great new idea that they'd been working on. Would I please be the accountant of this new blockchain technology for musicians, knowing that I specialise in musicians and I really care about the future of musicians, and I'm really interested. The thing that got me was a musician having a sustainable music career. So for me, learning about this technology is about empowering the musicians to log into their fan base, I guess, because I think as fans, all we want to do is support musicians, and we'd much rather see the musicians get the bulk of the money than the guy that owns Spotify. So they initially came in, they started talking all these terms, and I thought, I don't know what the hell they're talking about, but I do know an accountant in a national group that is really honed in on this blockchain technology. So 1 week later, I organised a Zoom meeting, and these guys are at the forefront of Australia. Clint and Sam presented the people that they're dealing with and their idea, and I got the heads up, these guys are dealing with the best in Australia. So that was enough for me to commit to this whole project, and I think everyone's scared. You see the 60-minute show the other night, crypto this, crypto that. This is blockchain technology. This is the Web3. This is not all about investing money and losing money. This is about believing in your musicians and supporting them, and I just, really want to see musicians build a sustainable career.
Indeed. So it began to get touched upon in the previous panel, but I will put this out there again. What is the delightfully named blockchain technology, and how is it changing industries?
Sophie, why don't you get this one?
Hello? Okay, great. Well, I think the revolution, the disruption, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, is, blockchain technologies are offering a valid way to reimagine how we do business with each other, to reimagine how communities come together globally across the world with each other. I know we were giving Discord a bit of stick earlier on, but Literally, in our Discord group, we have people all around the world. We don't even see their faces. Now, that must be a little bit odd to an artist. You want to engage with people when you have a gig, right? You want to see them, you want to feel them. Well, we engage in a very different way, but they're equally as passionate in the topic that we have to share with them. So we're finding new ways of creating community which really go across international, geopolitical boundaries. All you need is an internet connection. So literally, this is, I think, a really wholesome, helpful way for people to be connected in a new way. I'm not suggesting it's the only way we connect, but it's the toolkit that provides for those connections. And then when people get together, when you're in a group, you say, what do we do now? And so if you're into music, you come into the Ocean Floor Music Discord group, and we help you figure out where's your artist you want to, support, or where's the artist going to get their next kind of production money for their next record or single. So this is a very nuanced but, increasing way that we are using Web3 technologies, I think, to improve the state of, particularly the music industry. That's just a very small example.
What was the question again?
You of all people. Why are we here?
What am I doing here?
What is blockchain technology and how is it changing industries?
Blockchain technology. Yeah, that's a massive question. Who signed off on that?
You.
Yeah,
I'm just a corporate puppet.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, I guess, technically the blockchain is a ledger that is there forever and will always prove that someone owns something or someone done something on the blockchain, to put it really, really simply. And that ledger is publicly available. So anybody can see any transaction, any decision, any contract that's been signed on that blockchain forever. So I think one of the things that it's there to do is to bring transparency. And I think a good example is, the reason why people know that Bitcoin is really bad for the environment is because it's all on that ledger. Has anybody ever asked the question how bad the fiat system is for? Does anybody even know? No, because that information is pretty hard to find because you can't see it because it's not on a ledger like that. But I can guarantee it's much, 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 much worse than what Bitcoin is. So in a really basic form, it's an open ledger that's publicly available for everybody to see. And that's the technology that we're dealing with.
And environmentally friendly.
It's getting that way very, very quickly. Bitcoin, not so much, but as it's all moving to a proof of stake network, it's becoming very, very environmentally friendly. Yeah, go for it, Sophie.
I was just going to say, look, the margins, you all understand margins. Even the margins of the cryptocurrency industry are shrinking. As we approach 21 million Bitcoin to be mined, it means that, you don't require so many miners, literally. They're competing for scarcer and scarcer resources.
It's not young people, by the way.
It's not young people.
And so, yeah. And so what I'm just trying to say there is the cost is increasing to mine Bitcoin. So you've got to be forced to look for more sustainable and easily more cheaper sources of energy. Volcanic energy, for example, in El Salvador, for example.
Just a couple of things to close out the market question. So there's a few things that are happening that you should probably read about if you want to go and do some self-directed learning. There's a thing called the creator economy, and it was brought up at this conference that I was at. Sorry, it's been a while since I've been on stage 2. The creator economy, a $4.5 billion venture capital firm said, imagine a future where you could invest, into artists and give them this opportunity to create art, and they've got that freedom to do that. I'm like, hold on, Sam and I have been building this thing for 18 months now. We've got this system here. It's ready to go soon. You guys can help finish out the build of that too. But the creator economy is a real thing. So there's a document that's written up on it. It's shared in our social communities. Go and read it. Number 2 is the ownership economy, which a few times tonight we've alluded to Web3. Ownership economy is about the future of owning businesses or owning a portion of that business and having voting rights on the decisions that are made in that business. Yeah, I don't know if that's come through clearly enough tonight, but I want to reinstate that the ownership economy is what the future is about. Yeah, the future of the world, a collective mindset. You think about the morphing of mindset together to problem solve on a global scale, you know, and the technology allowing us to do that, connecting problem solving together. The last thing on the market, and for your own research or just credibility of what's moving and where it's at, in 2 weeks' time, there's a conference in New York called New York NFT, I think it's called, or NFT New York. It is massive. There's 1,500 presenters there that are talking about this particular thing that we're talking about tonight. You know, scale it up, think about it. There's people talking about how to monetize out of music, how to monetize out of any industry with this new technology. So if you just want to go and watch a 30-minute webinar just to learn a little bit more, go for it. It's happening. The world's evolving very quickly out there.
So explain cryptocurrencies versus tokens. Are they different or are they the same thing?
They're the same. Cryptocurrency, tokens, NFTs, they can be a currency or it can just be a digital asset. And the word NFT is sometimes crossed with tokens, but it's the same, basically. There isn't any difference between the two. What is different is the utilitarian use of them. So what do you use an NFT for? So an NFT can represent a song, it can represent an image, but it can also represent a lifetime ticket to an event. It can also represent some in real life IRL, I just learnt that the other day. In real life merchandise or a face-to-face video conference with that artist. So the utilitarian use of NFTs and tokens is changing, but the term cryptocurrency and token is the same.
Okay. Another phrase, word, DeFi.
I'm not going there.
DEFI. Decentralized
Another one of my
finance.
favourite topics. Well, we'll keep it very high level then. Look, you go to a savings bank, you've got, deposits. You can do the same thing with Web3 businesses. So what you find in the traditional finance and banking sector, you can find very similar products and services in the Web3 sector as well. So the point being, let's get to decentralized. Like a DAO, there's no one singular owner of that particular organisation that's offering you the service, which was the problem back in the GFC, right, in 2009. There were banks that were corrupting and contaminating the legitimacy of the investment assets that they were sending to the market. They were lying, basically, about the value of their assets. We saw a big crash. So, that kind of behaviour we don't get in this market in that way. Okay, rant over.
So the whole decentralized thing I think is important. Why is that important? Because when we're talking about centralized, there's a single entity that runs that organization. That's problematic for a number of reasons, as in it owns it all and has all of the say, and there's nothing you can do about that. When it's decentralized, it's spread across hundreds of nodes or millions or thousands of nodes. What does that mean?
What that means is that there is a piece of software that literally runs the organisation in very simplistic terms. It's a piece of software that's been created by developers, and that literally is the administration of all the transactions that move through that financial services system.
Yep. And one person can't make a decision. I think that's really important, right? The whole community must make a decision for a change to happen. And that's the thing, one of the most important things with decentralized.
The code is the law.
The code is the law.
That's it.
Wow. And what about the software?
What about it? Well, I think the people who create the software are brilliant. There are probably developers here in the space. Kudos to you. and to your skill set and the lineage of developers who've created literally Web3 in this way. It's pretty amazing. It's marvelous. One of the wonderful things is they didn't go and ask permission from anyone to do this. They had a creative spark, like musicians, a creative impulse, and they created it. So this is why we have conferences like Permissionless that Clint went to.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak about mainstream finance and the market. Recently, JP Morgan, Citibank, Wall Street big brands are coming into the Web3. They're like, this is the real thing. The big four in Australia recognise it. Not all of them want to create like a trading platform so you can trade cryptocurrencies, but definitely they all have a plan around creating their own digital currency within their bank, which they call stablecoins. So keep your eyes open for that. This is mainstream. It's becoming mainstream more. You've probably seen in the AFL Crypto.com and Western Bulldogs sponsored by Coinbase, and ooh, no one goes for Bulldogs. Yeah, well, be careful. But DeFi is going to be challenged by the mainstream finance trying to catch up, so that they know that this is a real space. So get ready.
When does this become truly mainstream?
Well, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while. We are literally on the bleeding edge. You guys are so on the bleeding edge. Yeah, you're right there on, there's a question there. We will get to you in a sec. So probably within the next 2 years, all of us that are here will be looking back and going, wow, that was the start of something.
Can I actually interject as an accountant? 25% of my clients last tax season were in crypto because I have a very young musician client base. So this stuff is happening. Most of the accountants are ignoring it and just burying their head in the sand and saying, I can't deal with it. But the tax office are picking this up, and we get the reports every time we do someone's tax return. 25% have already invested in crypto. I think next month we're going to get about 50%. So you can't bury your head in the sand over this. I think maybe half this room has already dabbled in it. And all Ocean Floor Music are trying to do is create their own platform to help musicians. So it's a scary word, but it's happening. And if you're going to ignore it, be it at your peril.
Well, to be fair, half this room have dabbled in a lot of things. I know which half of the room I'm in. But speaking of tax, what should artists know in relation to tax with this new frontier?
This new frontier. There's airdrops, which if you're giving some tokens, it's a revenue. Yeah, basically the minute you step your tax file number into the crypto world, the tax office knows about it. There's a huge... I went on some chartered accounting seminars about 3 or 4 months ago, started asking a lot of questions to these Australia-wide experts, and it's very grey. They're making it up as they go. The tax office haven't basically published any law, really. All they've done is said, let's just liken it to shares. And the thing that came out of the 2-day conference I attended was if basically they want to treat it as a capital gains event, meaning if you make losses, you can't claim them. So if you want to prove that you're a crypto trader, you've got to go to a lot of extent to prove that this is your life and your business and your trading. So it's a very interesting world. There is no black and white law at the moment. There's a lot of regulators who are trying to get regulation in Australia because it's very important to try and attract the crypto investors. The more regulation, the better, really. And I'll probably hand that to Sophie now because she would know all about that regulation.
I don't think I'm the right one to talk about regulation.
Clint's keen as well.
Yeah, look, I'm happy to go there. So sexy, tax and legalities, right? Well, let's just go there anyway. We're grateful. We're really grateful that from early days that we received coaching from the Alluvium, a business in the east coast of Australia, from their CFO, good friend. Sam and I approached him and said, look, we're trying to solve this problem of artists not getting enough money and commoditized late in the process. And we started talking through blockchain, DeFi, and this guy said, look, I'm going to come on as an advisor. I see 10 businesses pitch to me per day. And I love what you guys are doing because you're actually authentic and you do want to give back and help artists. So let's just start there. He invested his own money. He's an advisor of the business. I said, what have you been up to? He's like, I'll raise 50 million US and now our company's worth $1 billion in the first year. And I went, what? Are you serious? And he's like, yeah. 6-7 months later, their business is worth $18 billion. And I'm like, God, how did you do that in 18 months? Like, really, you guys are in your 30s and 40s, East Coast of Australia, and you've created an $18 billion company? Wow, okay. So can you teach us everything you know so we can try and fix this problem for artists and industry? And that's where we started, and we've been getting that coaching day in, day out. And how that ties into not only how to set up the structure or the technology, it's the referrals and the connections that we've got out of that relationship. So straight away, we were introduced to the #1 legal firm in Australia who were advising this business, who at first were like, we can't take on any more blockchain businesses. And they're like, no, you'll take on Ocean Floor because these guys are doing something great. So we accepted that challenge and we now have a lovely legal bill, but we are being coached and guided and pre-regulated by two legal identities in Australia that are providing the pre-regulation in law to the Australian government in this space. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. These guys are writing on decentralized autonomous organizations, which were brought up before, on tax law, on decentralized finance. They are writing the pre-regulation, and everything that we do, back to what Kylie said of, there's no regulation and whatever, they're setting us up so we are super safe as best we can be in this pre-regulated space. So, and in that sits, what's the tax guidance on this? So these individuals are tax law guided as well, and we feel Kylie's pain. We're so proud to have Kylie as part of, Ocean Floor. Round of applause for Kylie. Let's get it there. Let's get it out. We love Kylie. And Kylie is challenging the accountants across Australia to go, you don't have the answer. Let me keep going. And she's just burrowing deep. So you're in safe hands. If you haven't done your tax with Kylie, get on board.
Kylie saved the butt of many a musician and music industry person in 2020 when everything went south. And so you're in beautiful, gentle hands.
I do have one comment about regulation from a very different perspective, and I spoke to a developer the other day and he said, may we as developers keep ahead of regulation and continue to innovate without that being an impediment to what we do. That's why we have Web3. That's my take.
Yeah. So we have a new government, a Labor government. What are the feelings going forward and the confidence in the realm?
So our information is that the Labor government will be taking off from where the Liberal government ended in their development of regulating the crypto industry. And most importantly, not stifling innovation, supporting innovation, and not taxing the crap out of all of us is their main priorities. Is that right?
I haven't heard any different. They've embraced the Bragg report.
They've embraced the
picked
Bragg
it up.
report?
They've actually learnt what it says, so that's a good start.
That's great.
But who knows, hey, it's all early days.
It's all early days, but we probably won't see proper regulation until mid next year, realistically. So we're in that grey area at the moment, but we are comfortably in the middle of that grey area due to our legal representation that Joni Pirovich and Mark Bland.
She's like the lawyer in Australia.
She is indeed. Kylie will be meeting her soon.
This is all about money and digital stuff, and they've got the awful words like Bitcoin and crypto. I'm not a fan of the words. As a word man, not a fan. But and some of it's pretty dry information because I did English Lit was my best subject at school. Speaking personally, but there's a really weird thing with that. In that you speak so passionately and really quite evangelically about it. this is more than about money, is my feeling. And we've been having conversations. I didn't just rock up here tonight 5 minutes before we began like I normally do. We've been having conversations since spring last year, sort of thing, about the whole thing. And it's new information, and some of it's pretty dry, but the passion and as I said, it borders on evangelicalism. I got it out. So why you feel more strongly than simply being business people?
I'll talk a little bit to this, and then you can take this. It's because we love music, mate. It's because we've been in the music industry and we know the pain of the music industry. I know it. Clint knows it. Half of the people here who are musicians know it as well. It's a tough space to be in. And what do we like doing as musicians? You know.
According to Cav, I don't.
Oh, that's right. You're not a real musician. And by the way, Bob plays in 2 bands, 3 bands.
Oh, we won't go into that.
Shall we go there?
No, don't worry about it.
Exactly.
I don't play in them though.
Yeah. And as musicians, we love making music, and I wish that's all I had to do when I was making music. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And, I had to learn about finance. I had to learn about funding. I had to learn about $5,000 studio bills in a week. I had to learn about a producer taking 35% of my royalties and all that sort of weird-ass stuff that I just wasn't interested in. And I think in Ocean Floor Music, we are providing an ecosystem that will help artists develop in all of those fields. But most importantly, to get their financial shit together, which is something that we're absolutely terrible at.
Unless you've got a good accountant.
Unless you've got a good accountant, and that we have got a good accountant, as you can see. And I think that's why you feel, I can say feel, because I think you can feel it, right? The passion that, and the reason why we do what we do, mate. So.
Quick question, guys, if you don't mind. So,
Of course.
from a musician's perspective, what's the risk?
Oh. I can talk to that, but I think Clint's got something to say first.
Yeah, I just want to while on that topic, and then let's answer that question, because that's a really good question. The other part for us is well-being, all right? We've been in contact with the Support Act CEO, had multiple conversations. We understand, and not that this is a somber comment, but the suicide ideation rates in Australia are 6 times higher than the national average, and that's pretty tough in the music industry, and we don't like that stat, right? So straight up, Sam and I, we're not healers or whatever. We're just here to try and help and give back and create, that resonance or a sense of belonging for industry and artists to go, why is my art just valued instead of the creation process? Why don't we put some value on the creation process so they find that sense of belonging and stop working 5 jobs to create that piece of art? So hopefully, yeah, that's where we come from with that sentiment.
Nice.
I was just going to say you hadn't really explained the idea of smart contracts and kind of the idea of creating a pool of money for the artists, which is the idea of giving them the sustainable income. I think one of my first meetings with you when we met with Cav was on the basis that there was the concept of an artist actually getting paid a salary instead of having to do the bar job or the music store job or whatever it was they had to do, that they could just basically get paid to focus on creating music.
And how cool is that? And how strange is that even as a concept? When I was making music, I'm like, what? I can get paid to actually be in the studio while I'm making music? Most people are like, oh no, I need to take 5 days off work because I need to be in the studio that I'm paying for to make music. It's ironic. So there is that.
So I think maybe you could explain to everyone
Well,
how that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't want to go too deep in it, and we want to keep it high level. But the Smart Project Fund is the funding mechanism that is our IP in Ocean Floor Music, and part of it can be aligned or cut off for your time in the production process and the recording process. So a wage component can be weaved into that.
Yeah.
So just very high level, but I'm happy to discuss that.
Yeah. So back to Quincy.
Is it time? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So are we at question time then?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we are. We're in our last
Okay.
10 minutes.
yeah. Okay. And then there was a question over there as well. So I'll come back to you. So I mean, the cryptocurrency space is very risky. You know, really risky. And as you can see right now, there is a 50-60% drop in cryptocurrencies across the board, basically. But the last time that happened, they went up 20x, you know, over the 2 years progressing that drop. But in saying that, we have created a stable project fund. So our funds are backed and protected by Ocean Floor Music, basically. So wherever the fund started at, the fund will end at, and hopefully it will be even more than that because of our staking program and our rewards program that is associated with that fund. So there is no risk. We guarantee that risk. So just like you using a crowdfunding platform, it's the same, but better because you have the opportunity for rewards and staking program to increase and improve that fund. So, does that help?
Another way to answer it too is the risk, and in a different way, the risk is do nothing. Just keep doing the things the way you do it. That's okay. That's okay. And what, you know, tonight, our future, the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years past our time, you know, we want to create a solution where people feel confident in taking steps. So that's why, you know, Kylie mentioned, come to my webinars, be educated, be informed. Don't even dabble in it if you don't want to. We just want you to make an informed decision. So the risk is do nothing, keep doing things the same way, or take, you know, any type of risk. Risk has a bad, you know, a negative opportunity. Also, risk has a risk appetite and a risk potential. So what does that look like for you as an individual to go, I'm going to take a dabble in this thing because it's, as Cav pointed out, it's an extension. It's the 3D version. It's an opportunity. And what if I get it wrong? Yeah, that's a choice you should make, you know, with a considered decision.
You know, one of the things that you cannot control is volatility risk, the risk in markets. That is not controllable. You know, you need an unlimited amount of capital to do that, and nobody really wants to do that unless they think it's going to be in their best interests. So, you know, sometimes we've got to put certain of those risks that we just understand are outside of our control and do what is called deal with the systemic risks, which are businesses that are in the Web3 business building really vital, value-added, productive business services that actually deliver to their customers what they want. And this is what Ocean Floor is doing.
So on that note, I would like to thank Clancy's, Beerfarm, all of you for coming, all of our panellists, and Aisha for pulling this together, and everyone from Ocean Floor. And I'll leave it to Sam and Clint to make quite the announcement.
Just for those of you that want to know more, please reach out. Yeah, you can find our emails. That question about the DAO, great question. We've got a perfect answer for that. Maybe we can chat a little bit later. But it was always our plan to kick off Ocean Floor Music in a very supportive way. And tonight, I guess we can announce that we're going to be starting our 1 million token community startup fund. And where we're basically giving away 1 million tokens to artists all around the world, and giving away. I know that's which currently is worth $1 million.
I told you it was evangelical.
Yeah, slightly. And you can sign up for that tonight or sign up throughout the week or whenever. But there it is. There's the announcement. Clint.
That's great. Round of applause, yeah. Are we wrapping up? It's time to go. Everyone's been standing for hours. Before we kick off with the music, I just want to close with this one thing. The giveaway is a token. Let's excuse the pun. Bobby would have liked that. Is a position of us to show that we are giving back. Right, we're here to start and allocated that funding pool to give back. So we want to start with that. I just want to say that the power of what we've built and the system that we've built, when you come to our newly refreshed website, thank you to our branding and marketing team that are here today. It's just gone live today. That's just an interface of what we're trying to build. There's 84 pages of wireframes that we've spent the last 5 months of building out. How do we make this process just really easy for people to use? You know, they don't need to know all this technology and blockchain. How do they just come on and use this really easy to use platform? And that's what we're building. That's what we're raising funds for still. And it's got nothing to do with tonight. But I just want to say that that's behind the system. But what I want to say is the power of the DAO and what we're talking about, this decentralized autonomous organization. If you do buy a token at some point in time, you have the right to vote on what our system and how it grows and what it looks like and what you need it for and you shape the future of the business of where we're going. That's what's happening. Our platform is not finished. Our structure is not finished. Our incentive program is not finished. The way that we reward artists is not finished. This room here of people have the ability to start to come in to shape that together. This business isn't about Sam and I anymore. It's not about our core team anymore. It starts to extend out to you. It's community. You help us shape what we're going to do. Thanks for attending tonight, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Good night. Hang around, support your local.